Blog Talk Radio.
Shalom, Lekulam. Peace to everyone. Welcome to the Reset Button Season 3. This season, we welcome the listener to join us while we journey through Isaiah, one of the most controversial books in the Word. We would like to accomplish understanding of the salvation of Israel mentioned. Is it one spoken of in the New Testament? Is it someone we're waiting on? Or is it in the past? Walk through this with us as we attempt to uncover this mystery. The call-in number is 516-595-8238. And press 1 at any time that you have questions or that you would like to leave a comment. Our collective email is histaught1talkradio@gmail.com. Our Facebook page is His Taught Ones and His Taught Ones Talk Radio. We also have the YouTube page at His Taught Ones Talk Radio. Subscribe and we'll be posting our episodes every week. Shalom and have a good show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another season of His Taught Ones. Talmidim, yo, here we go, back at it again. You did, yourself, Shema and some friends. We learned hard through better sheets, the Melachim. Now fresh start to what is hot. I never yin, here come the prophets. They're dropping some knowledge, abolishing doctrines, apology nonsense. They bring the word, you can call them the pinpoint. Given by the hand of the head, he is the pinpoint. Or could it be it's another? So many distances from the children, it's a misnomer. Honestly, the aroma is hideously unbearable. There is no one accord. How dare we say that we're hearing you? I don't want to see
Kadosh Yisrael, Holy One of Israel. Anachnu modim lecha al yom nosaf ve'al milah. We thank you for another day and for your word. Barech bivakasha et ha-mifkash hazeh. Please bless this gathering. Bo'u nishmiah. Let us say Amen. Amen.
All right, everybody. Shalom. And welcome to another segment of the Reset Button on His Taught Ones Talk Radio. This is Brother Yedid Yah. And I will be the facilitator for today. All right, so we're going to be doing things a little bit different this go around. Not too different, but a little bit different. So I will explain that after the other two panelists give their opening statements, and then I will follow behind and give my opening statement and also explain some of the changes that we will be doing today. So I will render the floor to Shema Talmido, or Shema Ben Yael.
Either or is fine. Shalom, shalom. Appreciate that introduction. I'm excited, man. We're getting closer and closer to diving deeper and deeper in Yeshayahu. Actually, shoot, I think we're getting closer and closer to the end. But we have unraveled and uncovered a few different things that I believe is helping our understanding. I appreciate those that's been faithfully learning with us and building with us and presenting with us. we ask that you continue to do so and spread the word to others that might be as interested as you are. And with that being said, I'm ready to move forward in these few chapters. Shalom.
All right, this is Joseph, and I'm excited about how we're getting and we're moving forward. Like he said, we're almost done. We are about 2/3 the way through, give or take a couple percentages or whatever. But it's been a good ride, actually. A lot of good stuff that I've never known before, and it's just getting better. I really appreciate, this platform and everything that we're doing. I appreciate everybody that calls in, everybody that has even the comments that they put in on the post, after the post. There's not a lot. I mean, people that do it know who they are. We appreciate that, and we just appreciate the people that listen back, the new listeners, anybody that's new to listen. All of it is very much liked. This is what we hoped for this season, the participation. This is what we talked about at the beginning. And that's all I really are just, I'm always excited. I'm always happy for the Shabbat, for our contextual studies. I look forward to this all week. So without further ado, I'm done.
All right. So again, it's Brother Yidda, man. I missed last week, and I did go back and listen to it, and I wish I was there, but I wasn't. So, listening back, I just felt like things went very well. It was a lot of things that were said that I just really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the openness of each individual and being able to, express themselves. And I feel like as we continue to move forward, like, people are becoming more comfortable with speaking and expressing their thoughts, and that's really what we're looking for. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm really excited about today's show. There was a lot of things in there that I saw. Can't wait to see what these brothers are going to bring out. And I'm very excited about this adjustment to the format. I feel like this is probably where, we really found our niche. And I'm really looking forward to see how it's going to go today. And speaking of that, I just want to break down a little bit of the format so everybody that's listening can understand the slight change that we came up with. So with that being said, so we're going to start off like, as always, we had the introduction, the song, and the prayer and everything come in effect. And, as we always do, we're in opening statements right now. So the brothers know about the order and everything like that, so I'm not going to go into that because that's amongst the panel. But as we go into the chapter, as we've been doing, when we're not going to have a particular chapter assigned to a panel member. We're just going to open dialogue like we have been doing for the last few past weeks. But what we're going to do is we realize as we've been going through this importance of context. So before each chapter, what we would like to do is start off with discussing the context. So amongst the panel, we'll explain how we saw the context, what the context persists of, and then once we establish that, we'll move forward to a general summary, and each panelist will give their understanding of what the I'm going to use your self word right here, the totality of the chapter was. So as a whole, what was the chapter about? So we'll discuss that. That way we don't have to kind of go in a certain order to give you a full story of it as we're going through with our points. So each of us will contribute to the summary. If you don't have anything to contribute to, then, you just say, I agree with what has been said, and then we'll leave it at that. And then after that, we'll go point for point. And the reason being for the summary is to kind of give everybody a fullness of what the chapter is about. So it gives us the flexibility to move around with our points, and it's not going to be in any sequence. So if the biggest point you had that you wanted to talk about, whoever goes first, if that's at the end of the chapter, you can say that. And then, if the next person has something in the middle of the chapter, it doesn't really matter. So, but each individual, if you did have that point and you wanted to elaborate on something, you also had the opportunity to do that before we move on to the next person and that next person's point. So if you're a caller, same deal, press 1. We'll let you in. It doesn't matter when, but we will finish out that particular portion or that particular point that's being brought out. So I hope everybody understands that. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask now before we proceed. Any panel have any questions or anything?
Lord.
No, sir.
All right. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started into the first chapter so that everybody know we're doing Isaiah chapters 39 through 41. And so the brothers, you all should have the order. So this is basically a round robin. So Shema, you were first on the opening statement. And so now we just keep, rotating around. So Yosef will be the start of us going over the context of chapter 39.
All right. Chapter 39 is very short, and this is continuation after Hezekiah got sick, and the prophet Isaiah came through and basically told him that he would live 15 more years. This was previously, Hezekiah, he prayed about it, and Isaiah turns around and said that the Most High said, your request was heard, and he granted him 15 more years. So a little bit after that, Hezekiah, basically, this is the same story that was in 2 Kings. If y'all was with us last week, we kind of paired it up. I think the last verse I was talking about was in 20, so this is a little bit after that. I haven't looked it up. I know it's right after that. So, like I say, it's a repetition. But long story short, he invited some people to come check out the stuff of the Most High, and Isaiah was kind of mad about it. Well, not kind of. Isaiah told Hezekiah some things that was going to happen later on, and that's the general summary I have for this smaller chapter.
All right. So it was kind of like a merge of context with summary, so I'm going to just keep that same format. So for the context, you was right on. Brother Yosef was right on. And just to specify the matching of the account is the visitation part of it with the messengers, as you see in the very beginning, is 2 Kings chapter 20, 12 through 19. If you read that, the whole chapter really is that. So, so right on spot. If you read 2 Kings 20 along with this, like, it'll help your understanding of what's really going on. So it gives you a full story. And then just as a summary, I agree with the brother. I feel like it was Hezekiah. He handled the visit foolishly, in summary. And then Isaiah brings a bad corresponding message from Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh to Hezekiah, which exposes Hezekiah's ignorant ways, and it also highlights the wisdom of Yeshayahu or Isaiah. So that's my summary portion of it, and along with context. So it didn't deviate too much from his, but that's all I got.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can y'all hear me? Okay. I agree completely with both of the brothers with their summary. What I do want to add, and I think it might be parallel to what Yedaya was speaking on, this shows, and I'm glad, this is what I love about the Tanakh. It shows and it exposes their minor weaknesses. A lot of times we see their strengths. We hear about their strengths. We read their strengths. But we see that, I put a post up a while ago. I wonder if I can remember what I said. But I think I said something along the lines of wisdom, or having wisdom, or being wise is more so dealing with consistency. Even the wise have moments where they're not wise. And what he operated in within this chapter, the way he operated, it showed us something. And it necessarily doesn't mean that, hopefully I'm just still summarizing, so cut me off if I'm giving anything away. But it doesn't necessarily show, from what I'm seeing, that it was something he did wrong from a prior instruction. What it shows is it was a life lesson for him. It was something that he did that was a lesson within this journey of wisdom. And now he knows not to continue in it. And I'll point out why I'm saying that too. I'll make sure I point out that at the end of this chapter. But that's all I have.
All right, that's great. So from this point, we just gonna go into the key points. Same thing, So I guess it'll be myself that'll start the first point. So, wow. So a little bit of what I talked about was the ignorance of Hezekiah in this matter, and I guess I'll just highlight or elaborate a little bit about what I mean by that, how he handles the situation foolishly. If we go to the account, and by the way, I'm reading from a different version today. I kind of want to fall back a little bit off the KJV and the New King James Version. So I picked something that was kind of like, I don't know, it's called an easy to read version. So it may sound a little different to y'all, but I kind of like the way it makes it easy for understanding purposes. Like the read is fairly easy, when you going through it. So I'll see how this goes. I'll try this for a few shows maybe, and then but always the other brothers have different versions, so I definitely would love to hear what the other versions say. But anyway, so it says that, he was visited by a few messengers from Babylon. And it says, in verse 2, it says, this made Hezekiah very happy. So he showed them all the valuable things in his storehouse, or his storehouses. He showed them the silver, the gold, the spices, the expensive perfumes. He showed them the building where he stored the weapons. He showed them everything in his treasures and everything in his house and throughout his kingdom. So mind you, these are people from a faraway place, these people from Babylon. At this time, I don't think it was a real big threat in context at that time when they came to visit him because they heard he was sick or whatever. So it seemed like it was a nice gesture. So, but he was so happy about it, he showed them everything from weapons. Basically, he let them know everything that he had. And it's like he didn't even put any thought into it. He didn't think about it. And so it's like he made himself very vulnerable is what I got from that. And when, Isaiah came, he said, basically, he's like, what he told him kind of, like I said, exposes his ignorance, because the things that he said about what Babylon was going to do is basically take everything that his ancestors saved up until today. That's what it says in verse 6. So basically, to sum it all up, is like that's what I really saw, because it's like everything he showed them is what they're going to take from him. So, I don't know how it coincides with, the actual event that is to come when they come and take everything, but it's just basically you showed them everything. So now it's like when you let somebody in your house, you show them everything, they know where everything is. You know what I'm saying? So if they want to break in your house, they know everything, where everything is. It's going to be an easy job for them to do. So I just felt like that was kind of foolish on his behalf. And even to see that that is what is going to happen in the future makes it that much more foolish to me. Now, I'm sure he didn't know that was going to happen, but still, you got to, like Shema said, you got to be wise. You got to have enough wisdom to know that things can happen. So you got to kind of be a little, a step ahead. You got to discern and say, okay, I can't do this because of this could possibly happen. You can't. It just, to me, shows that you can't be vulnerable. He made himself vulnerable. So that's all I'll say. And that was the point that I wanted to bring out at this time.
So are we going point by point? That's what you're doing? Did you have more points or no?
You
okay.
You can elaborate
Just give my first point
on mine, and then you know what I'm saying. Give your first point. Yeah.
As far as elaboration, I think we in unison with what was said. Even in my summary, I would want to say I think you did great. I'm not sure if I really have to, or if I should add to it. The point I'm going to bring out actually might add to it. So that's what I'll probably do, bring out my point. what I've seen in the very first verse, I want to point out is I think it's something more with the wisdom, kind of like what you're speaking of. Like when a wise person is quote unquote wise, they have a little bit of, well, not a little bit, but they have discernment. And I think we talked about this. I don't know if I think I mentioned it when we saw this in Kings. I'm not sure if you all agree with it, but first verse says, at that time, Merodach, Baladan, son of Baladan, the king of Babylonia, sent letters and a gift to Hezekiah, for he had heard that he was ill and had recuperated. Now, before I say what I want to say, I will have to know or be reminded if they were friends. That's one. Or if he was just a king recognizing something amazing that happened to another king. So, before that's answered, I just want to put out what I'm trying to say. But those are two things I will have to look at. But the point I want to put out is I believe that instead of Hezekiah being foolish, as Yediah said, which he's right on, and I think this adds to the foolishness that he just demonstrated, which we all do, even if we are wise or not, is this. You just got 15 more years on your life, which is a miracle. People knew you was dead. People knew you were dying. Now, these people of Babylonia, this king of Babylonia, sent his messengers to see and witness this amazing miracle that took place. But instead of you, as we saw in previous texts in this literature, in previous times, instead of you putting the glory on the Most High, I know you prayed, I know you thanked him in the previous chapter, I know that. But it's one thing to praise him and thank him in private to him, that's amazing. But to give and present the glory that he has, or give him the glory of what he done to you in front of others, that is spread. This is me, Shema, speaking, by the way. This is what I'm saying. I'm not saying this is facts. Instead of doing that, what you did is you showed all your amazing gifts and things and stuff in your house. Okay. You did that. I'm gonna explain what I want. But the next step I want to say, what I want to say in regards to this, because I'm trying to stay according to how y'all set this up. So at the end, I'll explain where I want to go with what I just said. Y'all probably got it anyway. But I think that he was supposed to show the amazing thing that took place with him, because it said that right here, it says he was ill. The king, for he had heard that he was ill and had recuperated. I think that was key, the recuperating part. He wanted to know how, why, what happened. Let me send my messages to see what was going on. That's all.
For me, I agree with everything that as far as the summaries and all that. And I just wanted to add, as far as my perspective, maybe I'm just one of those people, but I don't trust. I would say, don't show your whole hand to someone that could potentially be your enemy, right? What I mean by potentially be your enemy, that could be anybody that's not on your side or not in your fold or whatever you want to call it, because like Israel should already know what's going on with Israel, so that wouldn't even be a problem for Israel to say this, that, and the other, or show Israel or show anybody like that. But yeah, Babylon is an ally at this point, but does that mean they'll always be allies? I mean, we know how it is when it comes down to nations and all of the extra stuff. So it was, to me, it just was a lesson learned. Like, don't give up all your hand. I mean, he could have invited them and had a feast or whatever, and did all the extra stuff. He didn't have to show them weaponry. I mean, you never really should show anybody outside of your own team your weaponry. I don't care if y'all cool for right now, because technically Babylon is not Israel. So anything could, anything can take place. Even Israel goes against Israel. So it's hard for that one. But at least Israel knows what Israel has. So for me, it was more so of it just wasn't smart, and that's all I essentially have for that chapter because it was short and I basically be repeating what I said in 2 Kings. So. How I pass the mic with that one.
Okay, Shema, did you want to bring in the part that said you wanted to say? If not, we can move forward. If no one,
yeah, I'll bring it in. I didn't know if y'all. That's why I was, I didn't know if because I could have just went all the way through. I didn't. I thought we was going off that first.
Yeah, you could have just went.
Part.
The thing is, if it's a collective point, like a point that you want to bring out, like that's why you can feed off of what the first person say what you agree with or whatever, and then just move into what you want to say.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, bringing it all together, I brought out in Kings, like you said, but just in case those that I knew wasn't here, I'm just going to say it again. I believe that, like I said, the first verse, he heard that he was ill and he recuperated. So he wanted to see this magnificent miracle. But instead of him seeing this miracle and getting the glory, the Most High getting the glory from this miracle that was done to him, we see that Hezekiah wanted to show off his stuff. But here's the thing, going back into what I was saying in my summary, I believe that Hezekiah was very wise because he had this moment of not showing that wisdom, due to whatever reason it was. But at the very end of this, we see verse 8. It says that Hezekiah said to Isaiah, the word of Yah that you have spoken is good. And he said to himself, for there should be peace and truth in my own days. Now, there's two ways you can look at that. It's either, okay, he was wise, he understood, he figured out what he did was goofy, like Yediah and Yosef was bringing it out, myself, you don't, well, I didn't bring my part out this time around, but I said something similar to what they were saying in Kings. Or it could be looked at as selfish too. Like, I think he was the one, wasn't he the king that, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, to where nothing was supposed to happen. I believe it was. I could be wrong, but I do know he had this 15-year extra, and he knew that nothing was going to transpire with him in his time. So it could be looked at as selfish, that last statement that he said. I don't know which way I want to go with it. I want to go with more so, hey, I know I did this. This was goofy. I realize it. So what you say is right. What you say is true. I'm going to accept that. That's how I want to look at it. Is that the case? I'm not sure. That's all I.
I'm gonna comment off of what he said. In opposition, when I did read that part, I did think of him as being like, woo, glad it didn't happen to me. More of a selfish thing. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't think of it the other way, and not saying I'm right or this is just the way I thought of it, and it's not. It doesn't really pay a difference on the way he thought, or it's not gonna change what Israel is or your salvation and nothing like that. And it doesn't really give you more of an insight. We can assume that he felt this way or felt that way. I'm assuming, Shema's assuming, we both assuming whatever. So it's not a big deal. When I saw, I was like, he was like, yeah, it's good. I just saw it different. Like, yeah, it's good. I'm so glad I ain't got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And it did get bad after him, like real bad for a long time. His son was one of the people that brought a lot of that on there. That's in response to Shema. That's all I had.
Oh no, I agree with you. I agree. That's why I was saying I don't know which one to go off. I think I looked at it that way too. I'm like, man, I don't know which one, but I look at it as that way, like me and you just said. And I want to believe the other way, but hey, so I agree with you.
Right, it could be either way. We know that these people that's in the word is not perfect, and they human just like we are. So it wouldn't. I probably would. I don't know how I would feel. You tell me, oh man, a bunch of bad stuff is gonna happen, and it's gonna take everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how I would feel. Would I be relieved that I'm not gonna see it? I'm not gonna see it, or would I be more so like saying, man, I made a mistake? I mean, either way, I don't think it takes away from the person. I mean, anybody would be relieved if they don't have to go through something, and you're going to go through something as a nation anyway. So, like I said, it doesn't take away from who he was to me personally. So, that's all.
Yeah, I really don't know how to feel about it. I do know that it's concerning a time after Hezekiah. So I really didn't know how to look at that last statement in verse 8 where it say the message of the Lord is good, and then it has like a little comment in there that said Hezekiah says this because he thought there would be no real peace and security during my lifetime. So I don't really know how to actually look at that, But what I do know is that I kind of saw like he showed them this stuff, and I think it's probably a cultural thing. Like he said, he don't know if they were friends. Shammah said he don't know if they was friends or whatever, but I think by him sending him a gift and letters, he took it as like, probably this is my friend, or, took that to a whole nother level to make himself vulnerable. And, like, to me, like O said, the biggest lesson learned here is not to make yourself or put yourself in a vulnerable position like that. So I think that's just really the lesson learned here, because it's Babylon, the people that you allowed to see all this stuff and that you treated them, with great hospitality, is the ones that's going to actually come and take your sons and into captivity. So it's just, to me, it's like a lesson learned. But that's all I have for it. If there's nobody in the queue, we could move forward. And for those that just tuning in, we are closing out chapter 39. So if you had anything or you heard anything that you want to comment on, feel free to press 1 at any time. But we are about to move on to chapter 40. And that will be Brother Shammah. Will be starting us off with his context and his summary. I guess we'll do them both together since that's how it kind of flowed. So, context, summary, Brother Shammah, and then we'll just follow suit.
Okay. Well, going off of going into chapter 40, the summary I would just speak on is dealing with prophecy concerning the period of or the end of exile. Just speaks on this. I believe that this is, of course, is Isaiah speaking on it and just talking about different things concerning like idolatry, speaking on things what the Creator has done, speaking and telling Zion, or I want to say Yisrael, Israel, what they should be doing. It's one of those speeches, I want to say, basically. As far as context, I really don't know if this is like a period of time. I really just think this is a moment of where Yeshua is speaking as the mouthpiece of Elohim. That's really it. I mean, unless anybody has anything to add in regards to the context or the summary, it's not really, from what I can see, an actual time frame or period in what something that's happening at this particular point. I believe it's just speaking on prophecy and then speaking on things concerning of the Most High and what He's done, speaking on what He is and speaking on what we should do, things like that. That's all I have.
All right, so I guess I'll go with my first point. I'm going to start in the beginning because I had something for that. I'm just going to kind of group in 2 and 3.
You gonna jump into the point?
I'll read. Let me do this. Let me say I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know, this is a new format, so I'm making a couple of mistakes. All right. As far as the context, he says that he's speaking as the Most High. I agree with that. Summary, I agree with that because it's basically like to me the same thing as far as what Isaiah is saying, according to what the Most High is saying. So I do agree with Shema. That's not about the context. So that's all I got for that. My bad.
Nah, it's all good. You had the points after I, run over this. But I did want to add some stuff. So it is kind of hard to pinpoint a time frame at this point. So I just kind of was looking at it as a time frame between Hezekiah time and the time of the Babylonian captivity. So somewhere in between that, the captivity that was to come as prophesied in the previous chapter. So it's somewhere along there. I can't really pinpoint where, even going back to 2 Kings, like we only see at the end of 2 Kings where Babylon came in. So it's somewhere along there. I can't really pinpoint it. So that's context for me. And then summary, like they said, Isaiah is speaking as a messenger, but it's concerning the good news of, like he said, the time after captivity, which I look at as the punishment of the people of Jerusalem, which pinpoints their salvation. And then within that message of the good news, Isaiah also elaborates on the magnificence and incomparable nature of Elohim or God. So that's all I have. Don't get that point in yourself.
All right. Yeah, my bad. I have to remember context. My thing on context, then my point. I was just so excited about knowing when my time was coming, I guess. Just like he said, Isaiah speaking as a messenger, and I'm reading out the KJV just in 2. It says, "Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry to her that her welfare is accomplished, and her iniquity is pardoned, for she hath received of the Most High's hand double for all her sin. I thought that to be interesting. And then I'm just going to go into 3. It says, the voice that cries in the wilderness, prepare ye a way for Yah, make straight in the desert highway for our Elohim or God in the KJV. And I'm only gonna do one point at a time. So, but basically, what I found to be interesting that, of course, at this time, this has to be, well, to me, it has to be some sort of future declaration to say that they received double for their sins. Well, scholars think that this is wrote in a different time. Like, if you listen to certain scholars, they have broken Isaiah up in 3 portions. I don't know if I believe on the 3 portions that they've broken up in, but it's, I think starting in 39, 40 right now, that they say that this is kind of fits in a different time frame from how he's talking. I can't really grasp that as far as knowing how sometimes things are worded, but when it comes down to it, I think if you look at it, actually, as I even think about it, who knows? Like they just say, what time frame we're talking about, because it doesn't really give you too much of a time frame. But it does say that their iniquity is pardoned. She received double. She has received double for her sins, and that says a lot, because at the last thing that we talked about was Hezekiah and what's going to happen. He says, they're going to come, they're going to take the people. Oh, we know from 2 Kings that Babylon did come in, later on, and come snatch them up and snatch up some people. And also Syria came in and took the other half, pieces of them. And it was a remnant that was in there after the Syria and all that extra stuff. And so who, I can't tell personally. But like I said, I just found it interesting that he does talk about they received double for their sins, and it doesn't say that speak to them on things to come or latter days. So it's just something to look into. And with that, that's my point, somewhat my statement.
All right, Shema, it's on you.
Oh, I thought it went on you after him, and then me after you. But I shall go.
Well, it actually did, but go ahead. You're right.
So yeah, I like what he brought out. I think that what I want to bring out is looking at that. It's funny. It's not funny. It's interesting and good that he had brought that out as far as the different. I guess I want to say interpretations that they had said. I ran across 3 different interpretations concerning verse 2 as well. If you all allow me to read it, and maybe we can speak on it, or we could just let it sit. But one of the 3 of the interpretations that it says double punishment cannot mean that Israel was punished for more than it deserved. Various interpretations are offered. One of them being her punishment was 2-pronged. She suffered 2 exiles. She embraced her. The second one is she embraced her ancestors' sins as her own, thus doubling her iniquity. And the third, and they put that, they attached that to, we're not there yet, but it says Jeremiah 16:18. Then God's consolation was as great as if she had suffered double what she had actually had. I don't get that part, but I thought I'd read those 3 out, those 3 off to you all, see if it sparked anything. I'll just stop right there with that one point, adding on to him bringing that out.
All right. I don't really know what to say. There was a good, I guess, way of looking at it with the whole the two captivities from the two different nations. So that was interesting, in my opinion, just to speak on that part. But I don't really have too much to say because I don't want to overstep, dealing with something that I don't feel like I'm really learned in. Like I would have to do a more extensive study on this, so I don't want to kind of overstep my bounds, so to say. So I'm just gonna leave it there and say that that's a good way of looking at it, but I'm not ready. Like I'm not equipped right now to dive into that topic.
So I think that it works out the way, like, I know somebody else supposed to bring a point, but other than that, I think it would go back around to me, and I'll be bringing another point. So.
Now you can comment. That's why I was kind of like waiting. But
As far as that, I ain't got nothing else for that. As far as what Shamar said, that's interesting, something to look at. I just saw it say, double for your sins and extra stuff, and I'm like, okay. I didn't even think of it as far as, it would be unjust to do for them to get double. I didn't even think of that like that, only because it doesn't have to be worded as far as like, your sin is only going to be a certain amount. It's basically, to me, when I read it, when I see double for your sins, I didn't see like a double punishment for one sin or something along that. Double jeopardy is the technical term we use nowadays. But I just saw that it was the punishment was satisfactory. It was good enough, or it was grand. It was big. So maybe I would have to look into more so what does double mean. I didn't look into the Hebrew to see if it could mean something else, but that could be a translation thing. It's a possibility. So until I actually do some more studying on it, I can't even really. It was just interesting what Shema said, though, as far as the interpretations of the three people. But that's all. I don't have anything to add.
Yeah, definitely something we got to look into, and I think it's important that Yosef brought out and said, he didn't look into the Hebrew. I didn't look into the Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure if Shema looked into the Hebrew or not, but at this point, I think that's probably the next step that we would have to do to attempt to really understand what that part is. So my point that I wanted to bring out is, which the brother read in verse 3, where it talks about there, and like I said, for those that are not aware or just tuning in, I'm reading from the easy read version. So 3, it says, there is someone shouting. So immediately, my point altogether is verse 3 about this person shouting. So that's my point. But now I'm going to explain what the point is. So there's someone shouting. First thing, that's present tense. Somebody is shouting. Okay, that's the first thing about that. Prepare a way in the desert for Yod Hey Waw Hey the Lord. So that is who the way is being prepared for. Also, again, it says, make a straight road, therefore, for our God. So, Eloheinu. So The point I want to make is that this is a present event happening of someone shouting to make way for Eloheinu, Yod Hey Waw Hey. So that's my point, to be brief. I could go down to 6, because it's still speaking about that person, but I'm not clear on it because it says a voice said speak, so that the man said, what shall I speak? So this voice said one thing, and then the man, I guess this also be a question on how y'all saw this, but like, who's the voice? Is the voice separate from the man? And then it said, what shall I speak? And the voice said, people are like grass. Any glory that enjoy is like a wild flower. From a wind from the Lord blows on them. The grass dies and the flower falls. Yes, all people are like grass. So, like, this is what the voice is telling the man, or the man is inquiring, what shall he say? So these are the words that the man should be saying, and when you deal with this person that's in the wilderness speaking, like, first point is that it's a present event in this timeline. And then we also hear the words or the conversation that is being had between the voice and the man. Now, I don't know who's the voice and who's the man, but what I can say is that it's a present thing and that it is a specific thing that the man is supposed to be saying, who is, I think in KJV it says, crying out in the wilderness. So, opposed to the version I'm reading right now. So, that's my point. I rest and I pass the flow.
So we'll flip back to yourself now since we flipped it, or do it go back to me?
It can go back to you. We can keep that order that we had. That's my bad for disrupting it.
Okay, so I want to bring out a point. Very interesting point. I shared it earlier. And it's funny that we came across this chapter because it's a little debate going on between two, I think it's called henotheism. I know the definition, I just never even knew the terminology of it. So henotheism, correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, and then you got monotheism. So it's a big debate going on. These fellas know what I'm speaking on when I say that, and, we don't agree on the demonstration of characters that's being displayed. But what I thought was interesting was what I'm about to bring out right now. And it's two different views, right? And what I'm about to bring out is going towards the view that I agree with right now. Now, I did have, being Yada, I know for a fact, had a similar view of one of the other view. I know you all like, just tell me what the view is, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But I just want to read what this says. Verse 20, I'm going to read verse 27 and verse 20. Verse 27 and 28. Okay, verse 20, first of all, it says, why do you say, O Yaakov, and declare, O Yisrael, my way is hidden from Yah, and my cause has passed by my Elohim. Now, before I go to verse 28, when it says my way, it's talking about, this is what Israel is saying. My way is hidden from Yah. My cause has passed by my Elohim. So some will try to argue and say, hey, that might be two different people, two different I just say people. But then you go to verse 28, it says, did you not know, did you not hear? Yah is the eternal God, or Elohim, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not weary. He does not tire. There is no calculating in his understanding. Why did I bring this out? We already went through this up to this point. We all, I believe, if we have differences, that's fine, but I think that a lot of us on this line and people that listen back have seen consistently who the creator, who Yah is, and who the source within the Elohim body, I want to say, is the energy comes from. Okay, so what I want to say, what I'm trying to say is when you read verse 28, it says that Yah is the eternal God, the creator. 3 different things that just pointed out. The eternal God is Yah. That's 1 and that's 2. The creator is Yah. That could be 3 and 2. Okay, that's all I wanted to put out. I really want, when I saw that, when I was going through this chapter, I thought it was interesting. When I went and reread it again after seeing this big debate, I'm like, okay, we could pick and we could throw, we could choose all of these verses and this Hebrew, this deep knowledge that we gathering through the scriptures, the context. But what does this say to you? What is this? I'm done after that.
All right. I'm going to comment on both of their points. So I will, since I'm already right here, got this verse pulled up. I'm going to start with Shema and I'll go back there. So have you not heard? Well, have you not known? Has thou not heard? Okay. That rung out to me. But as far as the creator and everlasting, I mean, I caught that. That was the last verse in the last part of that verse. It says, there is no searching of his understanding. Okay, that stuck out to me in 27. That said a lot to me because everybody wants to understand his understanding. And not saying you won't have understanding. Saying that the velocity of what the Most High understands, you would never get that. Brain blow up. Not saying you won't understand some things. Not saying you won't understand life or none of that. Not saying you won't have understanding of things and that you won't be able to grow or any of that. It's saying that his understanding is you can't touch it. Okay. And I think, from the beginning of what he was saying about this big debates and stuff like that, it's crippling us because a lot of us in this body or Israel, whatever, a lot of us feel like we have these understandings that come from the Most High. I've heard it thousands of times. My understanding comes from the Most High. And I'm not saying it doesn't, but then you got multiple people saying they understand it come from the Most High, and they're not congruent. So somebody's lying, and and there's probably some people out there that feels like they think exactly how the Most High thinks, and their understanding is matched with the Most High's in our aspects. We have to just be humble enough to understand we'll never get there, and just be humble enough to be able to listen to each other. Because maybe someone else can give you a little better understanding or add to the understanding of what you have, and you can be able to, or we can be able to move on as a group instead of trying to move on individually. Because there's a lot of good people out there that's out there trying to learn and understand stuff, and we just so scattered and having understandings here and there, and we're not even getting nowhere. We're spinning our wheels over little small stuff. But that's the comment on him. I'm not going to spend too much time there. But I want to go back up to Yah is at 3. He had asked a question. Do I feel like the voice is something different? Especially when he read it. And when I read it, I did feel like the voice was different. I'm not really gotten too much guess, in too deep into it. But I know I've heard this verse before this day, and I'm just saying that this voice, but I've never really, paid too much attention to where it came from, just a little bit. But now that I'm in context more, I pay a lot more attention. But just like he said, it says, prepare the way for Yah, make straight in the desert a highway for Elohim or for God, same person. All right, and then in continuation, he said he could go into 6, but I wish he would have said something. And I wish he would have kind of went more, so I'm going to go a little bit more. And it says, and the glory, or its name, of Yah shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of Yah has spoken it. The voice said, cry, and he said, cry, what shall I cry? So this just seemed like, two different, this is a dialogue. Only be a dialogue if you got, or some craziness going on. You know what I'm saying? Because that means it's one voice or one person talking and talking to itself. Voice said, cry. What should I cry? I mean, that does sound, if that's not two people, I don't know what it is. So that's that as far as his question. And then he says, all flesh is grass. It says, all flesh is grass, and all the goodness thereof is as the flower of the field. The grass withers, and the flower fadeth, because the spirit of Yah bloweth upon it. Surely the people, it say, is grass, but people's grass, or our grass. I guess I would probably have said, but the grass withers, the flower fadeth, but the word of Yah shall stand forever. And when I read that, I kind of read, or kind of just got the fact that he said, okay, what should I say? So, people die, but the word of the Most High stands forever. That's what I got out of it. As far as what is he saying? What is he trying to say? I didn't think it was nothing super big. It's grass fades. People like grass. The flower dies. But the word of the Most High is forever. But in correlation to what we were just talking about, as far as he's telling people the good stuff that's happening, or he's coming, y'all all right, you know what I'm saying? Basically saying, hey, this is what I'm telling y'all is going to stick, as far as your salvation and such and such. So that's in response to both of those fellas, and it kind of brings out, I just doubled up on his, on Yediah's point, so that's kind of like my point too, because I brought more out, but it was kind of in his point, and it kind of merged out because it was some things I wanted to speak on, so I could kind of relinquish it as that being my point and comments on both of y'all's.
Okay, cool. Before I go into, because I want to speak on Shemaiah's thing, but before I do, I just need a little clarification. So, Shemaiah, your point was that in this speech that was being said by Yeshayahu, it kind of shows you the nature of Elohim, saying that basically Yah is Elohim, and that Elohim is basically just the creator, basically breaking down who he is, and that would prove that Elohim is Yah, and Yah is the creator. So that's how we identify, or that's how ancient Hebrews identified Elohim and Yah as one singular creator, right?
I mean, yeah, I definitely believe that, and I'm not gonna get into, because it's funny you asking that. Your question, it just wants it makes me want to just go into massive details and what I'm, concerning like the little debate and concerning what we're reading, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna say yes to simplify everything, to make everything plain. I say yes. And now that I'm looking, and I'm going to let you continue talking and go on, because I want to look into this verse in the Hebrew, because I don't even know if I fully even answered your question, to be honest with you. But it's funny that my point could connect. Now, I see how you connected it, so I'm going to digress and let you continue while I look into this Hebrew of this actual verse, verse 6.
Okay, so just to elaborate a little bit on his thought or his statement, I would have to say that I'm in agreement as of right now. That is what is being articulated. And to add to it, just looking at verse 25, it says, like I said, I'm reading from the ERV. It says, "The Holy One says, can you compare me to anyone? No one is equal to me." So it's kind of like, I guess it's more so of how you want to look at it, because those two, mono and what's the other one? Henotheism is kind of is very close to the understanding, but when you look at the word Elohim, that's where I think the argument is starting to form, because of the plural form of it. But then you see the magistrate understanding as like the magnitude of the im not being multiplicity, but more so just as a magistrate, like not great in quantity, but great in quality. So that's the argument there. But so like he said, it's a bunch of deep stuff that we can go into, but I'm not gonna go there right now. But I just wanted to identify that and comment on what the brother was saying and kind of get a better understanding. So my point that I would like to bring up is another one of my points is this whole good news, this salvation thing. When we get to verse 9, it says, "Zion, you have good news to tell. Go up on a high mountain and shout the good news. Yet, Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, you have good news to tell. Don't be afraid. Speak loudly." Now, very next sentence it says, "Tell this good news to all the cities of Judah. Look, here is your God. The Lord is coming with power. He will use his power to rule all the people. He will bring rewards for his people. He will have the payment with him." Now, aside from my point that I'm about to bring out, this sounds very familiar. All right? I don't really want to go into that right now, but I just want it to be known that this sounds very familiar. And I would like to say,
what verse was that again?
That is verse 10, where it say,
okay.
"Look," where it says, "The Lord God is coming with power," so on and so forth, and about his reward being with for his people, and the payment is with him. So highlight that. I will be coming back to this later, probably like way later. But anyway, I just wanted to identify it and bring it to everybody's attention, maybe if they didn't read that part. So, but the point being is that this good news, or gospel, so to say, it says, tell it to all the cities of Judah. So my point is that the good news pertaining in this context, going back to the very first chapter and verse, has something to do with Jerusalem and Judah. It goes right back to that. So that's my point. That's all I have right now. That's the point I want to bring up. And we have Mercy in the queue. I don't know if y'all want me to bring them in before we proceed, but it'd probably be a good time since we in between people.
I just wanted to comment on the last thing that your point, and then you could bring them in so we don't move on. We ain't got to move on to no new point. But I don't know if Shema had something.
Did you have something, Shema?
No, go ahead. Y'all good.
All right, let me go back to that real quick. All right, and 10, I saw, I just wanted to point out something. I'm not going to get too deep into it. He was talking about the familiarity. But I'm going to go 10 and 11. But it says, behold, this is in KJV, Yah, Elohim. It says, Lord God. All right, will come with strong hand. We know what hand is, and his arm shall rule for him. We know what arm has been. We've been beating the arm up. I mean, as far as context. It doesn't change now. Context doesn't change what arm has been all 40 chapters before this. I mean, 39 chapters before this. So I don't want to have to. I mean, if it needs to be explained, I don't mind. But I feel like I just kept saying arm and showing arm every time we got to this point. So, in lieu of time, I just wanted to point out that arm thing. But then going into 11, he shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm and carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead them that are with young. Now, in context, it says, behold, Yah Elohim. Okay, so he shall feed his flock like a shepherd, and the he shall gather the lambs with his arm. Should all, to me, be attributed back to the previous verse where it says, behold, Yah Elohim. Now, I might be wrong. Somebody let me know. But that's all I got. Comment, what's called it, now you can let Brother Mercy in. Unless you got something to say.
Yeah, I didn't have nothing to add per se. Again, like I said, I could dive into some stuff, but I just really don't. I want to save it for when the actual account is, you know what I'm saying, in front of us. Then I can jump back to this and compare and contrast. So I don't have anything. Shema, if you have anything, let us know. If not, then I'll let Brother Mercy in at this time.
I don't have anything.
All right. Brother Mercy, you're live.
Yeah, happy Sabbath day, brothers. Shabbat Shalom. I just wanted to say that, that's an interesting topic that you guys are not talking about, and I'm not going to talk about it either. I just wanted to touch on it just briefly for a couple seconds. You talk about the difference, and I like what Jedediah says. He says something very eloquent. He says that henotheism and monotheism, there's not much of a difference, and it's not. And but I just like to say that henotheism is an interesting concept if we keep it in context, because we got to be careful with that, because I think there's only one Elohim. However, there has to be a family because he's called the Father, and I'll just leave it there. Let's chapter talking about verse 20. What's it? 6. The Lord is so powerful that none of the stars are ever missing. I thought that was interesting. Who compares with me? Is anyone my equal? But in a family, we know everybody's not equal. The father is always, well, there used to be a time where the father was as the man of the house and was seen as the authoritative figure, and the children were. There used to be a time where that used to be true. But I just say that no one's equal in the family. Everybody knows that the parents has the higher authority. So I just wanted to say that. But then in a family, all bear the same nature. I just wanted to say that. In a family, everyone must bear the same nature. So I think family speaks to nature more so than anything else. So that's why I don't believe humans can be part of the family of God, because our natures are different. He's a spirit and we're flesh. But does he call us children? Sure. So I say that to say that I like Isaiah's prophecy. However, we know Isaiah was persecuted. And so although he's bringing good news, I don't think the good news was happening right at that second while he's speaking, or he might have been more well received. Because, you know, Moses, when he came along, he talked about manna. That manna needed to fall, you know, like right then when he said it, or the next morning. Or if it didn't fall, you know, they was ready to get stoned. I just wanted to keep that in perspective. Yeah, he's bringing good news, but it needs to be good news today. So, because, you know, the Bible says they didn't listen to Moses unless he performed miracles. In other words, the miracle meant he brought the prophecy true right then. So that's all I want to say.
I want to comment real quick. It's funny that he said that, man. I keep saying funny. I need another word. But it's interesting that he said that humans, truly can be part of the family of Elohim, and I think he worded it that way. I hope I didn't word it differently. But as I brought up a couple shows ago to you all, that I've been watching Supernatural, and it's interesting. Like I said, he said that because when you are watching Supernatural, and this is funny. The children, per se, the brothers, they call themselves brothers. They call themselves sister and brother, right? The angels. That's what they call themselves that. And watch this. They don't call each other that with the demons, right? So the last episode that I watched, God came. It's funny because I wanted to record a video. I might go back and record it and then post it for you all just to see what y'all think. But God finally showed up, and now he's calling the demons, and he's calling, I ain't gonna get into that, the demons and the quote unquote angels in heaven. He called them his children, but he does not call the humans his children. He calls the humans his creation. So I thought it was interesting that Brother Mercy said that, even though, you know, it kind of sounds a little different than what we read in the text. I get it. I just wanted to bring that out because of what he said in parallel to what I'm seeing in this little TV show. And I would love Mercy to come back on just to see what he got to say, if he has anything for what I just said for Supernatural in response to what he said.
And I want to comment off of kind of what y'all saying, and then, you know, I guess Brother Mercy can, if he wants to, he can do a collective comment. I see exactly where he's going, but we have to understand one thing also of what the words of what we're saying actually means, okay? So, like, yes, we're referenced as a son, we're referenced as children, he's referenced as the father, but even father, you know, means like a leader in strength, or strengthened leader, or strong house leader. All those are basically saying the same thing. And we know that El means power. So it's that even saying Abba, it's just an attribute. It's more so the attribution, but also he is that, and what we know as a father, are the figures of a father, and what fathers do, because the creations, as far as you would be a child if you was a creation, because of what children mean. So I'm not gonna go too deep into that. So even like saying son, then continuance of the house, okay, or house continuance, whatever you want to say. So I say all that to say we can't get hung up on analogy. We can't get hung up on sometimes what we feel the definition of a word means. We have to understand it has a deeper meaning than just surface level. We have to even understand the meanings of the word even when we say it. So a lot of times we have to use father. I'm going to speak a little quicker. So a lot of times we use father as in, like we just really, somebody that birthed, the male figure in the house, but not so as far as what the father is supposed to be, what the father really means. Is why you're even named, why you are even named father, basically as our characteristics as a human. And so on the level of the Most High, we would never be. I say that also. And in a family, he said, in a family, it's supposed to be order. And that's the way we live anyway. It's got to be order, period. The parents above the children, this, that, and the other. Yes, society, forget what they're saying or how they want it to be. It's not what they're saying. It's, we can go into this on another time, but as far as how they want our community to be, not how they want their community to be, how they want ours. It's a totally different story. But even the children, I say that, even the children ain't equal. Okay? Ain't nobody really equal. Keep it real. I mean, some people are equal, you know what I'm saying? But even some children ain't, on the same level, even if they are in the house. So, I don't know, man. I see that because he said he do what he want to do. Like, whatever. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I feel like that could be a whole nother conversation. Because I see where it's going.
Yeah.
So that's my response to that. And I'll relinquish the mic.
Now, I would just say, this is something that probably should be, is like taken down as one of the rest show topics for us to choose from on a later date. I would just throw in, though, that a synonym to father is creator, originator. So we seen creator in the text. So I'm bringing it back to the text, is that it said he's the creator. You know what I'm saying? Elohim. And it names him Yod Hey Waw Hey, all in the same context. So father is also saying creator. So he created everything is what I'm getting from it. I could be wrong, and that would equate Yod Hey Waw Hey to being the father. And that's where we get, because he's the creator, father, interchangeable understanding of concepts. So that's all I would say on that. I don't, like he said, this could be a whole nother topic, but not sure Brother Mercy wanted to comment on it. I'm going to open your mic, Brother Mercy. If you have something, you speak. If not, then we'll move forward to the next point. You're live.
Oh, my bad. I had to unmute myself. Yeah, I just wanted to say, Samad was right spot on what I was trying to say. In that perspective, just by nature only, but I was speaking on the nature, like a father has the same DNA as the children. And but what you make or what you manufacture doesn't bear your image or your DNA or your nature. If I make a car, it doesn't bear my nature or my image. So that's all I wanted to say, and I'm leaving it alone. I'm done with that. But the point I was trying to make about the Isaiah and Moses piece, I wonder how you guys think about that. How Isaiah is bringing good news, but this good news might not be current news, so he's not received because of that. What do you think about that? So that's my question to you guys.
All right. Who want to take on that question first? I could. So
the question is, oh, go ahead. I thought you was asking who wanted to take on.
Yeah, so the question he's asking is like Isaiah being rejected or not received. Thus far, I have not seen that. So just to even answer that, I'm going to answer it as a hypothetical because I've always heard about, I've never read for myself that Isaiah was like killed by the people because of a message that he brought or whatever like that. So I'm waiting to see that. But hypothetically, the reason why he would be rejected because the good news didn't come right then. Well, good news for me at the end of the day is good news. Like if somebody tell me you getting promoted next year, you know what I'm saying? That's good news, even though I got to wait a year to get promoted. So I'm not sure. I guess it will depend on the people. Like some people don't want to wait a year, so yeah, that might anger them. You know what I'm saying? So that could be a thing. I can't give a definite answer on that. I just think it just depends on the character of the person or people that you're dealing with. So that's my short, sweet answer.
I'll say, because I don't know, unless somebody, you got something? Because it is your turn, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. He said enough for me.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's sufficient. I mean, his answer is sufficient enough for me. So.
All right, so next point, I believe it's on Shema to bring out a point. If you had any more left for this chapter before we moved on.
No, I don't believe I have anything else. Yeah, that was my last point, or my only point, I think. I wanted to pinpoint.
Yourself.
Oh, I'm scanning through them. Hold on. We just left off on 11, so. I like 13 and 14. I have to start at 13. I highlighted 14. I was reading it again, but at 13 it says, "Who has directed the spirit of Yah, or being his counselor has taught him? With whom took he counsel, and whom instructed, and who taught him in the path of judgment, and taught him knowledge, and showed to him the way of understanding," or made him understand. I love that speech. I actually like this speech, you know what I'm saying, a lot. I actually like the next couple speeches that the Most High is projecting to the people that Isaiah is saying. So it's just some literature and just amazingness of stuff that people might have to even think about. Sorry for my background. But basically, the Most High's knowledge, it already just told you, you know what I'm saying, beforehand, you ain't going to be able to search his understanding. Then he turn around and say, who is before the Most High? Or who taught him? Who's older, basically? Who's the father to him? So, and you know, y'all know what he mean by that. Like, this is the everlasting. This is eternity. You know what I mean? No one greater. He's the Most High. Nobody's better than him. So these questions was more so rhetorical. And so that should put to rest anybody thinking otherwise. That's all I can say, because sometimes people get into a plethora of ideas and stuff like that until you run across a verse. This is how the Israelites, the culture that they believe. It's going to be nothing is above. He did this. Who taught him? So if you want to interject anybody else into even sometimes the wording, because I know a lot of people, I'm going off of KJV, a lot of times when people see Lord God, they're not knowing that Lord really should be Yah. It brings a lot of confusion, but they might equate it to somebody else. And this is, in context, this is saying this, that, and the other. But, I guess if you just wanted to go like that, but then you say it's somebody separate, that goes directly against scriptures for sure, if I'm making myself clear. Because that sounds like extra. But anyway, that's all I have for, at one point.
Cool. Like I said before, just to comment on yours, I feel like this would be a very deep conversation that would have to be had, outside of the context of this alone, but I just would say I agree, because it couples the two together. It says Yod He Waw He Elohim, so that's kind of a hard thing to get around. I've never heard anybody address that before. So to say that Elohim means a multiplicity, that is multiple gods within that title, would also have to mean that Yod He Waw He is a multiplicity, but that's in singular form. So that's kind of beyond the capacity of just talking of, that's more of kind of a open dialogue amongst us for a longer period of time, if that makes sense. So I see Brother Mercy in the queue. I'm going to let you in. I'm going to get this point out because I think it's our last point, unless Shammai has something extra, but I think he said he didn't have anything. So my last point, and also I'm going to let it go around to the panel if they got something to say about what I'm about to say right now, or what I just said.
Well, I just had a couple verses. I wanted to make sure that I tell this wouldn't be the last thing. As far as I had a couple verses.
Yeah, that's why I said
unless
y'all got something. Okay. Yeah, so Brother Mercy, you could just hold fast till we get done with the rest of this, and then we definitely let you in and you can speak on everything that's being said. All right, so the only thing I really wanted to highlight, I'm trying to scroll to find it, is the point that he is making concerning these idols. Okay, we talk a lot, we see idols a lot up in Scripture, and we have our understanding of what is an idol. and we have the evolved understanding of what I would say is what an idol is, But I'm sticking to what the foundation of an idol is when it comes to Scripture. So something that I saw and that I've been keeping my eye out for is with these idol things. And then also something jumped out to me that will come up in later things, and I'll see if y'all catch it. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I will be referencing this later. So when you look at, I read 18 where it talks about, I'm not sure if I read that one, but it said again, can you compare God to anything, right? So it says, that's in 18, it said, can you make a picture of God? All right? Like Brother Yosef said, these are hypothetical questions. So the answer is no to these hypothetical questions. Can you make a picture of God? First of all, God says in earlier books, earlier literature, according to the order of the Bible, that to make no image of him. First and foremost, God is invisible. Like, you can't make a picture of something that you cannot see. And something of such great magnitude, you can't make a picture of that. So, moving forward, it says no. So, like I said, it's hypothetical. But it actually says no. Kind of like in the New Testament where it said, should we void the laws so grace may overbound? And then it turns around and said, God forbid. So, no. But some people make statues from rock or wood, and they call them gods. Okay? So, what I'm getting from this, before I dive deep into my point, is that people choose to try to make things to call it God, when nothing on this earth, anything that we could think of, cannot compare to God. That's the point. We can't make a picture. We can't even fathom God. We can't imagine God. These are all the things that are being said. But some people try to. But what he's saying is that you can't do it. Some people take wood, they take stone, and they call it gods. But that don't mean that they gods. This is, to me, the definition of an idol. Something that you are calling God that does not compare to what God is. And I sound like I'm on a pulpit right now, but whatever. Okay, so, and they call them God. One worker makes a statue. The other worker covers it with gold and makes silver chains for it. For the base, he chooses special wood, a kind of wood that will not rot. Then he finds a good woodworker, and the worker makes a god, quotation marks, that will not fall over. Surely you know the truth, don't you? Surely you heard. Surely someone told you long ago. Surely you understand who made the earth. And then it goes into these things. So, from a Hebrew historical perspective, he's telling them, I know you know the doctrine of the Hebrews. We don't believe in this type of mess. And anything that you can make cannot be God. You can't call that God. And it makes me think of Jasher. with the whole how they say Abraham did with his father, but that's a whole nother text. That's a whole nother story. But I know my fellow panel members, they know where I'm going with it. I would love to hear comments, but that's my point, and I'm done. I'll receive any questions toward my point or anything of that nature as well. If you don't
Okay.
just have
Samari said he ain't had nothing else. I was just kind of leaving it a little in the air just in case he did want to comment.
Comment on what I don't think he had anything like
I'm saying comment on what you was talking about.
Yeah.
So I kind of wait. If you do somehow, you can just say anything. If not, you know what I'm saying. I was gonna comment off of it because actually it was one of my things that I was gonna bring up. So I'm not gonna take too long, but I just want to say.
Sure.
So okay. Yeah, I was gonna take that as a no. So okay, you read 18. Boom. Okay, first off, I ain't see that no. It's not in my text, and I ain't seeing it in that other text behind this one. So I don't know if your version says no. I mean, we know the answer, but I ain't got it in my version. That's first off. And I wanted to say this also sounds like a similar verse as far as that another prophet says, as far as the workman's melted engraved image and goldsmith repeat over the gold chest and over the silver chain. It's basically telling you about the same thing. All right. So when I read it, it kind of reminded me. I'm just gonna throw it out there. The one verse everybody threw out there, Jeremiah about Christmas trees and everything.
Jeremiah 10:3.
Workman. Right. You know what I'm saying? They cut down the tree, put it in, they deck it with gold and silver, and it doesn't toddle. And they say, yeah, you screw the bolts in them and everything. And I tell people, man, that's an idol, bro. I've been saying that, that's an idol. Now you see Isaiah explaining it something along the lines the same way. And you wouldn't, you might not say the same thing. Or you're going to say that they started doing Christmas back then. That sounds crazy. But
man, I wasn't even gonna go deep
it.
into it, but I guess you just went ahead and did it. But yeah, that's where I was. That's where I was going.
Yeah, I have to say everything else. I agree with what you say, man, about that. That's all I can say. Everything else I agree about. So you kind of touched on something. You touched on a little bit. You did a little bit more than I would have done too, you know what I'm saying? So it's sufficient. I agree with what you were saying about 18. And then I'm gonna go down to I'm just reading this in 25. To whom then will you liken me, or shall I be equal? Says the Holy One. He said, to whom will you liken me, or shall I be equal? We're going to another rhetorical statement. This man is not equal. Well, he's not this man. Y'all know what I'm saying. He ain't equal to nobody. So, if you come across something or someone telling you that anything is equal to the Most High, cut it out, because that goes directly against Scripture. Unless we got some kind of bigger explanation. But that sounds, to me, it sounds like we're stretching. If we got some kind of big, we have to have some kind of bigger explanation. But then we want to say the Scriptures are simple. Just read them and pray, and the Most High give you understanding. Okay, this is in your face understanding. It behoove us to try to throw some extra words on it. Sometimes you got to take stuff for what it said, because the writer tries to convey a message, and we've been listening to Isaiah from jump, and he is in your face direct. Isaiah, like Yahya said, the thing you got to learn about him is he tell it like it is. He don't sugarcoat. And if he say something might be intriguing, right after that he gonna tell you exactly what he talking about. So we can't put no words in this man's mouth. We just read the words that came out of his mouth. All right. And I did want to touch on something. I'm sorry. I'm 22. This verse is used for something, but I just want to tell my opinion on what I see, and I'm just straight with it. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, okay, and the inhabitants thereof as a grasshopper, and stretches out the heaven as a curtain, and spread them out as a tent to dwell in. This scripture is used by some to say earth is flat. I just want to say I don't see that. If you listen to if anybody is daring enough, go and check out old ancient literature, and it's a story, I believe, the Phoenicians. Check out the Phoenicians and maybe even the Syrians and the Canaanites. Check out some of them surrounding peoples. Check out some of their creation stories. So don't think this is what he's saying. Because in one of the creation stories, it talks about spreading the heavens. But it was, okay, if I may just say it, just get a little bit of your time, just like 2 minutes. It talks about a fight between two gods, and then he kills his god, and then he stretches out part of them and makes the heavens, and then he hammers this and that together, and that's how he created But some of the same literature is kind of used. So when I see it being literature. This is the way they spoke in that time, not something literal as he's over here stretching out. Okay? And take part in the words where it says, it's a circle, and you see he got to spread them. It say he came up on this thing that was void and dark, and he started doing his thing. And he say he came up on it and started spreading it or whatever. I don't know. All I'm saying is, if anybody daring enough, go check out some of the creation stories for some of them old, and some of the same way that they talked, you might understand that this might not be literal. And I'm not saying anything against the people that believe that. I'm just saying we have to look at all aspects of the verse before we say this solidifies any type of belief system. Not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that I don't see that. As I ran across it, I remember this is something that I've heard. So I just want to give my 2 cents on that. I think that's, I want to make sure that's all I have to say. It's okay, yo.
All right. Just to let everybody know.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just to let everybody know, we got 6 minutes left until we cross over into the overtime portion. So if you're listening online, call in at 516-595-8238. Number again is 516-595-8238 if you want to continue this dialogue with us in the overtime portion. But yeah, if no one has anything else, I'm going to let Brother Mercy in, and then we'll move on to our last and final chapter.
You can let him in.
2, 1. Okay. Brother Mercy, you're live. You might be on that mute, Brother Mercy. Brother Mercy. You there? We can't hear you, Brother Mercy, if you're speaking. I'm going to try to mute you and bring you back on. Brother Mercy, you live. Can any of the other panel hear him? Because I can't.
No, I can't.
All right.
Hello.
Brother Mercy. All right, Brother Mercy, if you wouldn't mind going out the queue, I'm going to mute your mic. Go out the queue and try to come back in. We'll try that, and if that don't work, then we're just going to have to push forward. All right, I see you out the queue. All right, I'm going to try to open your mic. Brother Mercy, you're live.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that that this is an interesting, chapter. But also, I wanted to look at this part, this one you talk about in verse. Actually, it starts at 12 though. It says, "Do any of you measure the ocean by yourself, or stretch out the sky with your own hands? So, do you measure the ocean by yourself, or stretch out the sky with your own hands? Do you put soil in the earth in a bucket, or weigh the hills and mountains on balanced scales?" So, hills and mountains, you know what I'm saying? They're similar. Then I'm 13. Has anyone told the Lord what he must do? This right here is a lot more powerful and maybe even more problematic than we know. What happens when you deal with somebody that can't be put in check? That could be a problem. Because, if I got a problem with my boss, I call my boss's boss. But if I got a problem with my boss is the owner, who do you talk to then? I think about Job. He says, who will mediate between us? Job cries in one of his prayers, who's going to mediate? When you think about somebody, so that means somebody that can't be instructed, they can do any daggone thing. And a lot of people forget that. So, a lot of people that don't believe in the Torah, a lot of people that don't believe in Yah and all this, he can do whatever he wants. If you don't believe him, he don't care. Because you will die one day not believing in him, and you'll cease to exist. But I say that to say that a lot of people think Yah owes them an explanation, and he doesn't. He don't have to explain himself. Can you figure him out? I mean, how you figure out somebody that can say and do anything they want to, and they never wrong? People forget that. He's never wrong, because who takes him to court? Who sues him? Who, when it came time for Job to speak, what did Job do? I will say nothing. Why did he say he'll say nothing? Because he knew that by him speaking, Most High will multiply his words. He automatically found guilty. Why? Because he's a human being. I wanted to say that this piece in Isaiah is very powerful to me, but it's a piece that Isaiah understood that I think many of us don't, and that is the Most High. He doesn't have to prove himself to us. And you got a lot of people here that don't believe him. You got a lot of people who disrespect him. You got a lot of people, and a lot of times you see him, he sits quiet. It seems like he's sitting quiet. He doesn't always act. He's very patient. I see people talking about there's no God. I see people saying that stuff all the time. Oh, the Torah is foolishness. Moses never. People say all this crazy stuff, and they get on TV saying this stuff. But the Most High seems like he's silent. That he doesn't get angry. He just sits back. But I believe one day he's going to answer. And when he answers, who's going to check him? So I just wanted to say, what would you guys think about serving a God that can't be checked? So that's all I said.
Shema, you can go first, and then and I'll go last. If y'all had anything to say. But Brother Mercy just turned the heat up.
He said, what do you say? What?
Hey, boy. Hey, hold on. Before you let him out the queue, I just want to ask one question. Did you say, because we human? He said Job didn't answer because he said because he knew he was already wrong because he a human. Or something like that. I just want to make sure, because I was going to comment off of that, but I want to make sure that that's what he said. Because he said it real quick. And I'm just... See, Brother Mercy still on the line?
Yeah, Brother
Hello?
Mercy's still on. I didn't mute him, yeah.
Oh. Did you say because he's human?
What I'm saying is that I believe...
No, you just... I mean... Go ahead.
Oh, what did I say? You want to know exactly what I said? Oh, yeah. I said it that way. Because he's human. That's right.
Okay.
He's always wrong because he's human. That's right.
Okay.
I'll stick with that.
All right. Yeah. That's what's up.
What was the question,
All right,
man?
sure.
I forgot the question.
He said, what would we have to say? What are our thoughts on serving a God that could never be wrong, and that basically that was his question. If I'm not wrong, Brother Mercy, you could correct me at any time. But basically he's asking us, what are our thoughts on serving a God that could never be wrong and that you can never challenge or take to court, or, that can never be wrong in any instance, because, us as humans cannot dictate God. So I believe that's what he's asking. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Brother Mercy.
We are ignorant if we believe that we have a say-so in the matter. Why do I say that? You look at, I'm not going to use lions and stuff for an example because we taking them out of their natural habitat, but even so, they obedient to their quote-unquote master. But, we still see instances to where they snap. So one of the main ones that I could use an example for is, I would say a dog. Okay, Les. I would say that. I think dogs are probably one of the most obedient and loyal animals when it comes to, now, do they listen all the time? I would say no, but they never I'm trying to say this. They differ from babies to me. Like, they will not, quote unquote, and I had a dog, so I do know dogs do tests, but the dogs that I've had, they just, it's like they know that they need you. They know that you're right when you tell them to do something. They do what you tell them to do. It's not like a challenging, so to speak, demonstrating characteristic from a dog. I guess what I'm trying to say is this: if we were to challenge someone that created something so perfect, I don't believe that nobody on this earth, as smart as we are, the smartest people in the world, can fathom to the T every intricate point in nature, every intricate point in the galaxy, and make it operate in a constant, lack of a better term, a better word, just a constant way. You think of like the seasons and all this stuff. It's so accurate. Everything is just constant. Everything is just perfectly created. We would be fools to sit up there and say that he's wrong. That's just my point. I said all that to say this. We will be fools. Like a dog would be a fool to go against his master. And you don't see that often. The only time you really see a dog go against their master is if that dog is getting treated or beat, and things like that. So it's probably not a good example. But I say it is for me, from my perspective, because if a dog is not getting that done to him, I've never seen a dog not pay homage in that sense of knowing that their master is never wrong in a sense. I hope that made some type of sense.
Made sense to me. So, in my comment, I think this is just beautiful to serve a Most High that ain't never wrong. Because I wouldn't want to serve somebody that's wrong some of the time. Because then I'm going to question them. All the time. For real. You're wrong some of the time, I might question you all the time. You sure? If I'm taking that in or hearing it, the right way. But, yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. I'd rather have it that way than any other way. Because in other cultures, I always bring this type of stuff up, but in other cultures, they did have gods that had the difference between the Most High and other cultures, deities, is that those deities, with their stories and how they believed, they was only able to do so much within the bounds of their abilities. And you could subvert them and change your destiny sometimes to an extent by doing and conjuring and maybe summoning up another deity that might be stronger than that, or that's like even some of the movies you might see, they go into the dark side. These are like folklore, old Semitic type of belief systems. So the difference with Israel is the fact that Israel has this one, and he knows everything, and he can't get up out of the way. So to be talking to Israel, they already understand what he's saying. Who did this by itself, himself, nobody else? You know what it is. Everybody else y'all talking to, and all this idols and all this stuff, they're not him. And even where they came from, it was like that. So, long story short, yes, to that answer. He said they're not humans. I agree. Could that be compared? So, right. Period. I'm taking, I'm studying about the brain, taking my Yale courses, right? And we are created, and we can't even figure out ourselves. Just to add on to a little bit to what Shema was saying, and the brain is so intricate, like the capabilities of this thing, people just don't even. It's still amazing people how this thing that sits at the top of your head controls everything that's going on, even subconsciously and consciously, you know what I'm saying? And that was created. It makes no sense to say that everything, because that would mean you don't even understand. I don't even understand how some of them doctors are ages, but I mean, you don't even understand how complex we are to say that this happens by accident. For some people, it's the evolution of time, but God, all that, I mean, that's just a denial anyway. And going along to another thing about what I said about people about the Moses and everything like that, I wanted to say, that's their choice because of what they believe. We believe in this book, so this is the way we go about it. Because we can go discredit, and most of them are the Egyptology people. We can go discredit, their beliefs, because they ain't got none. They all over the place, and all they is just trying to get other people that look like them to not believe and believe in something that they don't even know what they believe in, just like them. Well, I ain't met not one of them that's going back and reading in the Egyptian. And some people are even smart enough to say that Israel never existed. That is the smartest thing you can ever say, in my eyes. Just popped out of nowhere, I guess. And when I asked where did they come from, when did they start existing, there's no answer. So if you wanted to, at least they need to get that answer. And then they say, well, they did this and they did that. Okay, where's your documents to say that that's what they did? And when did they start becoming a people? Because, like I said before, it's documented captures from other cultures that have captured them. The same people, some of their documents say, yeah, we ran up on Israel and took 100-some thousand and the king. And we plundered all their stuff. Their documents confer with them documents. So at one point, there was a people. And this is what that people believe. So it doesn't really matter what you think of these people. Well, at least we got something that we can hold on to, some history. Okay, that's my answer to I think everything that Brother Mercy had brought out.
All right, so Brother Mercy is gone, so hopefully he will go back and listen. All I have to say is this. How do I feel serving a God that is never wrong or anything, or not being able to question God and what he does? Is I feel perfectly fine for the simple fact that no matter what or how I feel about it, it is what it is. So if, like, you know what I'm saying, my mama died. You know, I lost my mama at the age of 20, 21, somewhere around there. I prayed that I didn't lose her, but it happened. Like, I had to continue on with life, you know what I'm saying? So the gist of the ideal is that life goes on, you know what I'm saying? Or people die. People are grass. You know what I'm saying? This thought altogether, this whole chapter, like you said, is very powerful. It kind of keeps, like, a lot of people sit there and wallow in a lot of things that they can't control. And so God is uncontrollable is what I get. So even if you don't even believe in God, like, life itself is, you can only control it so much. It's only so much you can do to try to control. But some things are uncontrollable, and that's God. You know what I'm saying? So whether you believe in the being or you call it God or whatever you want to call it, at the end of the day, some things are out of your control. And you can't question it. You can't do nothing. So why even try? Like, what's the point? So that's my answer. I have no problem with serving God, a God that you can't control. I don't know a God that you can't control that's a real God. You know what I'm saying? Like we was talking about, if you making a statue and you making it sit still and not move, that ain't God. How can you call that God? You know what I'm saying? That's not what God is.
God can't even stand on his own. You had to make your God.
You gotta make your God. Like, that's not a God. That's not a Abba. You know what I'm saying? You created your own God. You know what I'm saying? So from the standpoint of what God is something that you really can't explain. You really can't. It's something that is unfathomable in your mind. You know, that is more so a God than anything. You know, and as we see as things, as we do studies, people been studying God for millions, billions, or however many you want to say, years they've been studying. That's what a theist is. You know, that's what theology is, the study of God. So people been, like, they have Yale courses. I just wanted to throw Yale out there because of this guy.
I'm going to MIT.
But anyway,
next
they have
Harvard.
courses. They have courses, you know. They have courses, you know, college courses. You know, people been trying to study God, and they just can't really put their finger on it. They have an ideal, but nobody can really prove, and that's why it's always arguments and all this stuff. If God was that easy to figure out, and it was that simple as to make a statue, we'd be in bad shape. But that's my thoughts on it. I'm done. We are moving through time. I got to get out of here within the next, let's say, 25 minutes, so we got one chapter left. I might have to leave, and one of y'all might have to take over. But if we have no other comments, I would like to move on to the last chapter. And I'm not sure who's starting it off. I kind of lost track of where we was.
You.
So it's
You
on
start off. I think
all right.
you start off. Yeah.
All right. So basically, context-wise, chapter 41 is continuation of chapter 40. So in summary, Isaiah continues to speak the words of the Most High to the faraway countries, expressing how He is the eternal Creator. So it's elaborating a little bit more. Then he goes into how Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh, or the Lord, feels about Israel, Yisrael. And then lastly, Yah expresses how worthless idols are. So, like I said, it's a continuation of 40. It's going to get a little deeper into this whole idol stuff and who Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh really is from the Hebraic perspective. So that's that. Shema. I pass flow to you.
Can y'all bypass me, please? Thank you. I'll be back. Can y'all bypass me, please?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm gonna just start, I guess, with 2. This is my first point. It says, this is his proclamation where he's speaking out or whatever. Who raised up the righteous man from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, made him rule over kings. He gave them his dust to his sword, and his driven stubble to his bow. I have to look into that in there, because I had a footnote sitting right here. I'm sorry, I pressed the footnote. I was trying to say that this righteous should be righteousness. So I have to just double check something. But anyway, that was the first thing that I highlighted, because I feel like, this might have to be talked about later on. But go ahead, Yediyah.
All right.
Because I'm going to look at something real quick.
Okay. So first point I want to go to, which is in my summary, is about how the Most High feels about Israel. Since he was going into, the Lord being an eternal creator. So he's looking at something. I'm going to let him get that point. The point I want to go move on.
Hey, I got that. I got it already.
Okay.
Let me just say this, because I don't know why I ain't see this before. It says, who, in King James Version, it says, who has called the righteous man? Okay, who raised up the righteous man from the east, called him to his foot, gave him the nations before him, made him rule over the kings? In the original, I don't see man. But maybe they're saying it's implied in my original. I might have to look. So this, I guess it'll be a question mark, because all I see, it says, who raised up the righteous from the east?
That's probably exactly what it say, but I have to take time to look at it.
Yeah.
And
so we'll dig deeper, but that's what look out for it later. But you can go ahead now. I mean, I'll touch on it if I need to.
Yeah. So my point is coming from the perspective of the way the Most High feels about Israel. In 8 it says, the Lord says, like I said, I'm reading from the ERV. I probably won't read from this next time, I don't know. But it said, the Lord says, you, Israel, are my servant. Jacob, I chose you. So you are from the family of my friend Abraham. You were in a faraway country, but I reached out to you. I called you from that faraway place and said, you are my servant, I choose you. And I have not rejected you. I'm going to stop there. So basically, in this part, this kind of hits on the salvation of them, reassuring that the Most High chose them. And then the key highlight of this for me was that Israel or Israel is his servant. Now, servant is singular, but we know Israel is a group of people. So I just want to highlight that point. I think that's very important as we move forward through this. So that was one of the points I wanted to bring out.
What verse did you do? Because that's 8, right?
Okay, I read 8 down to 8 to 8
That's also
9.
saying where you started.
Yeah,
okay.
8 and 9.
I'm going back up. All right, because he had said something in there. He said, and see that righteousness is at the bottom of 10, but you said, take it from the end of the, it might be in your, translation. So what I was looking at, it don't say the same way in my translation. But he said something like you called them far, something like that in your version.
What's that?
In 9, to whom I have taken from the ends of the earth. What does it say in your?
You were in a faraway country.
You was in a faraway country, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then he brought him, I guess he brought him to Israel. Brought him in him. Is that what he's saying? So, going back up anyway. Before, who has wrought and done it, calling the generations from the beginning, I, Yah, the first and the last. I am he. Okay, with what is being said here, the Most High, he's already been telling you previously, that nothing compares to him. And then he just said, I did this for you from the beginning. I'm the first to last. I am him. Okay? So, as a Hebrew, this is what they thought. This is how they thought. This is what he's saying coming from the Most High's mouth. This is what he said. Nobody else. All right? That's one of my points. Oh, but I did want to comment off of what he said in 8, because that will go into my points a little bit. It says, but thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Go back. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. So I just wanted to put that out there, that the way that now in context, we see Jacob or Israel being referred to as a servant. But previously in Kings, we also seen that, I pointed this out, it said, and then I sent my servants to prophets. This was at the end of Kings. If anybody need me to find it out, I can find it. Just give me a second, but so this is two different aspects of being called a servant. But right now, Isaiah speaking, and in context, it says Israel is my servant. All right. And then the stuff he said,
And that's it. That's all I got for right now.
All right. Another point going into these idols. Okay. The Most High challenged the false idols, or the false gods. In 21, it say, "The Lord, the King of Jacob, says." I also want to highlight King of Jacob. Just recognizing the Most High as a king. Yod Hey Waw Hey. It say, "Let your idols," in 22. It say, it says, "Come present your arguments. Show me your proof." 22. "Let your idols come and tell us what will happen." Idol, tell us what happened in the beginning. And then you keep going down. You go down 24, say, "Look, you false gods are worthless. You cannot do anything. Only some horrible fool would want to worship you." So basically what I get from this is just the concept itself is foolish. That's what's really being brought out here. And it really shows me what back then was considered idols, like physical little statues that they made and called them God. A good example today is the Buddha statue, the Kaaba stone that's in Mecca. Any statue that you have or any type of representation that you call God and that you waste your time to try to feed or anything like that, knowing that this thing can't do nothing, is probably the most dumbest thing anybody can ever do. I'm sorry if I'm offending you. If you disagree or you think, it's just foolish. You know what I'm saying? Even if I never read the Bible, it would just look stupid to me that you would try to feed a statue that somebody else made, that somebody had to make, or that you tried to pray to something that somebody else had to make. Like, it's probably one of the dumbest things any human being could do, knowing that we was blessed with so much intelligence. That's all I got for that point.
I would like to say that's it's mine anytime to just jump in, but in response to what he just said, the Israelite concept is letting you know right now that to them that's not smart. So his mindset is how their mindset is, or should be, because it wasn't, but it should be, and this is what he's conveying. And even what the Most High is confirming, saying, what the Most High is saying, but, through Isaiah, when I say what he's conveying. So I want to make sure that's clear. But as far as the idol, we can get deeper in. Is that a what's your topic?
Yeah.
What is an idol? Okay. Then that's it. I agree with what he said. And then I could just go to my what I had. I gotta find it because I gotta go up from where you was just there. Right here. Yeah, you went down to 22, 21. That was a good catch. I'm going up from 21. And 13, 14, I just wanted to point out that, it says it's for Yah will hold the right hand, and fear not, I will help thee. That's just that the Most High is basically, confirming that he's going to help them. And that help is actually salvation. Fear not, warn Jacob, ye men of Israel. So that's who Jacob is, just in case anybody had a question. I will help thee, says Yah, thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel.
Okay? So all that is already conveyed in the scriptures. There's nothing else that I can add to it. I just wanted to point out who the Redeemer is, Holy One of Israel, who is Yah. We just said it all in one verse. And he's basically finna be their salvation. This is what this is talking about. Him saving them at this point. Man, he just told them that they was going to go into captivity in Babylon. So after Babylon, okay, yeah, this is going to happen. They're going to come snatch your stuff up. And then he starts talking about, well, here's the good news. Okay, this is context. This is, if you want to go from context to context, this is the last one. Hezekiah got sick. Okay, 15. He get granted 15 years. All right, he showed the people of Babylon and stuff. They came back and said, Isaiah came back and said, they finna come snatch all that stuff up later on. He said, well, all right, And then after that, you go straight into this salvational type of talk. Be of good cheer. Don't worry. So I don't know if this is, this sounds to me that this is right here instantly. So I don't know about anybody else's thoughts about that. Yeah.
What part did you are you talking about? I just stepped back in, sorry.
No, I was just going over my points. I went up and agreed with him, but I was just talks about 13 and 14. I was also talking about how he's saying he's going to redeem them, and I'm just saying in context. You got the thing with Hezekiah and him telling Babylon going to come take him, and now you talk about, hey, to be a good cheer. Saying he's coming to save you. I would think that from context, you're talking about even from Babylon. Something that is immediate, more of immediate, not anything later on.
Oh, yeah,
what
I
about,
can agree with that.
If you had something.
No, I don't have anything to add. I can agree with that. I would think so. That makes more sense.
Okay. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Ain't had nothing, it wasn't no big deal. But I don't know if somebody wanted to go with their point, because that was my point, too.
Yeah, that was actually one of my only points to the Redeemer one. But you already tackled that pretty decently. Excuse me, sorry about that. Yeah, I really didn't have a lot of points up in here, man. Hold on one second. Yeah, I don't have anything else. In chapter 41. Yeah, that's it for me.
Well, I think y'all might have stopped or stepped away from the phone for a second. So, I'll go with another one of my points, and if he's there, I'll just kind of go in my order. Hold on. I just was pointing out in 16 and 17 that they're kind of the lingo that is being said. Everything is just nothing like too big. Basically saying what he's going to do to the enemy, thou shalt fan them, and the wind shall carry them away. The world will scatter them, and they shall rejoice. And thou shalt rejoice in Yah, and shall glory in the Holy One of Israel. When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none. And their tongue faileth for thirst. I, Yah, will hear them. And I, Elohim of Israel, will not forsake them. Okay. They will never lead them, through all and all. I thought that was, good. These are comforting words. And I feel like it can be applied even to today because it ain't like he changes his character for what he, who he is, period. Then it continues to talk about this good, this stuff that's happening. I would open rivers, and then I would plant the wilderness. And 20, that they may see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of Yah has done it, and that the Holy One of Israel has created it. And then Yah always went into the king of Jacob in the next one. So, this it seems like basically saying a general understanding that everybody knows that their salvation came from the Most High. That's what it says. Consider and understand together that the hand of Yah has done this, and the Holy One of Israel has created it. Okay, and we know that what the Holy One, who the Holy One of Israel and stuff is. So that's that. And another point was in 26. Who has declared from the beginning that we may know? Question. And before time that we may say he is righteous? Question. Yea, there is none that showeth. Yea, there is none that declares. Yea, there is none that hears your words. Statements. Okay. That was a statement, period. The first shall say to Zion, behold, behold, them, and I will give to Jerusalem one that bringeth good news, good tidings, the gospel. For I beheld, there was no man, even among them, and there was no counselor, that, when I asked them, could answer a word. Behold, they're all vanity. Their works are nothing. They're molten images and wind and confusion. That's the end of the verse. I like those, the last part of this verse. I highlighted those. Just talking about in 29, this confirms what Yediah was saying about how you should feel about these man-made idols and vanities is nothing, okay? And it says their molten images are wind and confusion. You know what I'm saying? I took that as they confusion of people's minds, but that's probably not what was being portrayed. But sometimes you read something, you kind of see it as whatever. That's all. I don't know if Shamar, you had something that you want.
No, I'm done with this chapter. That was my last thing that I had. That was it for me.
Okay.
So I guess he's gone, so I guess we could just see if anybody has anything to say, open it up. If not, closing statements and close it out.
Yeah. Yeah, let me check that. I was checking. I'm on my phone doing extra. I'm going through all the pages real quick. Oh, Brother Mercy. Is Brother Mercy in there? No, he out of it. It's crazy. When I went back to it, Brother Mercy's name was back into it. But the last time, I was like, how you get back in? All right, nobody's in. Nobody has nothing to say. I'm going to closing statements. And so that's 3, 2, 1. I guess I'll start with my closing statements. A lot of good things in here for me. For the next couple chapters coming up, it's about to get deep. It's getting heavier. I pointed out the words that will be repeated. You'll see them repeated again. And I mean, if we can agree what it's talking about in context, then we can probably cut down a lot of confusion later on. And that's all I'm, focusing on, finding out what the scripture says. So it was this for me. This is like the start of a lot of confusion and juiciness, to the scriptures. So that's all I have. Other than thanking everybody that tuned in, and we just thank anybody that listened back. Like we said in the beginning, reach out to one of our platforms if you have any questions or comments. We're open. We're very touchable. It's Talk Once Talk Radio group on Facebook. You can put in His Talk Once Talk Radio, and you'll find us. We'll accept you, and all you have, if you have any questions or comments or anything about the show or rest shows, even if it was from rest shows a while ago, we're open and willing to listen and actually respond. We'll make sure, I try to make sure that it's a response on everything if I don't forget it or something. But one of these other brothers is good at picking up, and we kind of tackle everything. Ain't much. But that's it. Shalom. Y'all have a good Sabbath.
Appreciate everyone that tuned in. I hope that you gathered something from one of us, and also from Mercy, being one of the listeners that spoke today. All we can do is keep going forward through Yeshayahu, through Isaiah, and in hopes that we continue to get a better understanding. And we do got to realize, man, even through the understanding that we gain through these studies and through the Most High working with us collectively, individually, that when you present it to folks, that does not mean they're going to get it, and we can't get upset from it. I'm at a place where battling people back and forth, especially people that did their due diligence study according to what they believe that to be, I'm at a point where you just got to respect their take. That's where I'm at, man. I know there's people out there that's sincerely doing their own research. Myself, I feel like it's a lot more than just study, more than just knowledge to get the true understanding. It takes a lot more than that. But if I was solely speaking just on that, I'm going to just have to respect that part of it, because anything else is just a waste of your time. So I said that to say, through going through these scriptures, going through Yeshayahu, Isaiah, and getting this new information that we didn't uncover before all of us came collectively together in the midst of the Ruach, in the midst of the Most High's teaching us, you just got to have this individual journey for yourself as well, man. I mean, in hopes that we could come together, but it's bad, to me. But I would love for us to eventually come together collectively, with understanding, so therefore we can do what we mentioned before, come together as a nation one day in life. I don't even know if it's going to happen while we're alive. I would love for it to, but I don't know. But anyway, I hope that all of you have a fantastic rest of your Shabbat. And also Shavuot week. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and pray us out. Heavenly Father, we appreciate you. We thank you. We adore you for doing what it is you do best, and that's opening the eyes to those that search you out, opening the ears to those that search you out. We ask that you continue to do that. We ask that you soften the hearts of those that have hard hearts. Open the ears, the minds, the eyes of those that are willing to listen to us as we spread what you are revealing to us. We ask that you cover those that are in need right now, those that are out on the streets right now that might not have anyone to help them, but we know that you are able to do that. We ask that you continue to strengthen us in this world that does nothing but weakens your servants. But we know through you we are strengthened. We know through you we are surviving, and we appreciate you for that. And we ask these things, I speak for us collectively in your holy name. Amen. And real quick, I want to say something, man, in regards to the prayer I just said. I remember me and my cousin, we went out, I think it was last winter or a couple winters ago, and we wanted to go, try to help some homeless people that was on the street. And this one homeless guy said to us, and I lie to you not, he was comforted through the Most High. He literally, and I'm looking at the man like, this man doesn't have a place to live, barely getting food, X, Y, and Z. But don't have anybody to help him. Lost his family. Family died. Wife died. Lost his kids. Reminded me of the story of Job, actually. But he still was giving honor and praise and glory to the Most High when he was talking with us, and that was amazing. And didn't even want any money or food from us, because people just gave him some food and money about 15 or 20 minutes prior of us seeing him. And I thought that was amazing, So I just wanted to share that little story, going along with the prayer I just said, to show that, what I said wasn't a lie or wasn't, me just praying or making something up. I actually witnessed that, with this homeless guy. It was amazing. So with that said, man, I hope you all have a fantastic week, a fantastic Shabbat, and I hope nothing but growth throughout the rest of your days. Shalom.